What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the NBA DFS Around the Rim show. I am your host again, JSU, back with you guys, and I brought back two of my boys. First off, we got Big T. Big T, what's up, brother?
Yeah, I'm happy to see you guys here again. I feel like I did baseball. I might have done basketball. I don't know. There's so many shows last week, but I haven't seen both of your mugs on my show in a while. I like it when we get us three going here.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be a fun show. And we got Hoop. Hoop, what's going on, man?
Back at it. Talk this nasty slate. It's going to be a tough one. I mean, this week's going to be tough overall for DFS, NBA. We talked about it yesterday. Good time to kind of chill out a little bit on the bankroll. Don't overdo it. Tony was talking yesterday, ended up making some money and still trying to figure out how. I mean, it's going to be more of those slates moving forward. It's going to be tough. I mean, we got a ton of news. It's one of those weird slates where we have all the value plays in the world that we want, but none of the stars that we want to spend up for. So those make NBA DFS pretty difficult, but we'll dive into it and see what we can come up with here.
Yeah, God, can we just get to the playoffs already? I'm already sick of it now. Just 2 days of this, and I'm already I can't wait for the playoffs. But I will say, guys, when we get to slates like this and the uncertainty like this, Tony brought it up. Me and Hoop talked about it, I think, on yesterday's show. You could definitely want to chill out with the bankroll. But I will say, on these types of slates, if you're normally like a one lineup guy, I would recommend playing lighter, but playing like three lineups and trying to get a little taste of a few different combinations, because it's really tilting if you're looking to sweat out NBA all day, because these games go all day. And then after the first game, you're just dead because I don't know, one or two of your guys in your lineup is just toast. So, I mean, that's just my recommendation. Play a little smaller. Play maybe instead of one lineup, play two or three lineups and try and get a few different combos in there so you can get a full day of sweat of NBA. It's not like you're going to always ship when you do that, but that's just my recommendation for slates like this. But let's dive in, guys. Let's talk, this slate. I mean, we at least already have pretty much the news we're going to need when it comes to value, right? So we're not worried about, do we have value on this slate? And the first two games are the games where we're going to get all the value. We'll talk about the OKC Thunder versus the Phoenix Suns first. We get this OKC news right before we get on here. SGA is going to be out. Gallo is going to be out. Both bigs, Noel and Adams, are going to be out as well. So, I mean, again, we've got Muscala, who's cheap. Baisley is going to be very popular after he crushed. He's still 3,300. Diallo is 3,400. He should see more minutes with Gallo and SGA off the court. Andre Robertson's going to play. He's 3K. I assume he'll get some minutes. There's a bunch of guys, that OKC has that they can rotate. Terrence Ferguson, Abdul Nader. So what are we doing here, Hoop? Let's bring it to you from a cash side. Before we got this news, it was Dallas value. We were just going to jam in the Dallas value. Now it's a question, right? Which value do you like? Do you like the OKC value a little more because we've seen it?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of mix and match and take your favorites of each. I mean, on the OKC side, I think the only two that I'd be considering, just because I feel comfortable with them, is Baisley and Muscala. I think Baisley is a very strong industry-wide play. We saw him kind of go off yesterday, just a solid, aggressive player. Should have his way here, and kind of the minutes will be basically what he played, 28, I think, last game. So, potentially into the low 30s. I think he's a really, really strong play. Then Muscala played 28 minutes, nothing crazy, but he hit value. I think he is also a strong play. Power forward on FanDuel, which is a pretty weak position. And then he has the center eligibility on DK. And, we'll talk about Boban in the next game, but he's also a really strong play. So you have some decisions to make. And, it's tough because, like we said in the opening, there's really not the stars out there that we want to pay up for, but you definitely need to play some of this value.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, this value, like I said, because we've already seen it, and that was with Gallo and SGA, right? So now we get two guys. I mean, Gallo was only playing like 21 minutes. He only played, I think, last night or yesterday. But SGA was playing big minutes, like 35-ish minutes. So, Tony, I'm going to bring it to you. With all these minutes, like that's 55-ish minutes that we're not going to see from yesterday. So what are we doing with these OKC guys in tournaments?
So Hoop started the show talking about how I wondered how I won yesterday. One of the big reasons I did win was because I played 3 OKC value guys, and it wasn't Muscala, and all 3 of them smashed. Baisley, Diallo, and Dort I played yesterday. They all 3 played a bunch of minutes, and they all 3 smashed. Dort's price is higher today, which might make him lower owned, but he's still going to play 30 minutes. And all 3 of these guys, I'm not playing – I mean, Muscala's fine. I think Muscala is more of a hoop cash play as he's going to start, kind of like yesterday. Started and then just didn't get any run at the end of the game as all these other like scrubby young guys played. Muscala is a little bit older of a veteran type guy. I just think these 3 young dudes, Baisley, Diallo, and Dort. I mean, Diallo is like the most athletic dude I've seen, and he goes up, and some of those dunks he had yesterday were ridiculous. I just think these 3 guys, like Baisley, I couldn't even imagine not playing Baisley against Phoenix today. He's out there chucking, hitting shots, going to the rim. These guys are all going to play over 30 minutes. I like Hoop said too, though. The value is easy on the slate. It's a matter of who we're going to play up top, which is kind of challenging. But that's one of the reasons I don't want to play Muscala too, because we got unlimited value. I just don't necessarily see a ceiling. I think he plays kind of like yesterday, low 20s fantasy points, which isn't going to be enough to me. I almost guarantee you that these other 3 dudes outscore Muscala. They're just so much younger, and Phoenix isn't going to play defense. I don't know. I mean, all 4 of these guys are really good plays. I couldn't imagine not playing. I mean, bare minimum 1 or 2 of these guys, like depending on the stars up top who we play. I mean, like Baisley at 3,300 on DK, I just don't know how you wouldn't play him.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that Baisley, I liked your Dort call. He got a little price bump to 4K. I think he's still a really solid play on today's slate. He got 26 minutes. I think he gets like 30 minutes in this game. One guy who didn't play was Andre Robertson. I brought him up. He didn't play last game, but he's been only seeing about 10 minutes. So I don't know. Even if he gets like 20 minutes, I don't think it really affects any of these other guys. Terrence Ferguson might see a bump in minutes. He saw 19 last time. So even if you rotated out like 10 or so minutes to those guys from SGA, there's still about 35 minutes to go around where somebody's going to have to play more minutes. I mean, I would assume Nader gets a little bump. All these guys are solid plays. They should all see around 25 to 30 minutes. I just think you hit it on the head. Baisley is just such a strong play. Dude was chucking. He looked good. Dort looked really good. He was active. He rebounded. And then Diallo. Diallo is an athlete. He's not an amazing basketball player by any means, but he is probably the best athlete on the court, or one of like.
No,
2.
He's not probably. He is. Like he is an absolute freak.
That's fine. So I mean, I think it's those 3 guys are the main guys. I'm not playing Muscala. He was hot from 3-point range, and that was in the very beginning of the game. I think he knocked down like 3 threes. And he still only finished with like 20 Draftkings points. He doesn't do much else. So I think I'm going to stay away from him. And it's those 3 young guys, Diallo, Dort, and Baisley, who I'm going to be mostly going to be in my lineups. The question is, do we roster CP3? And I'll bring it to Hoop first. What are we doing with CP3?
Man, it's tough. I'm kind of playing the price point game. Like on FanDuel, he's 7.5K. Like we kind of talked before the show, and I think your analysis is pretty spot on. Like upper 20s, 30 minutes, maybe 31, 32 at the most. And yes, he can easily get there and get 40 fantasy points. And honestly, if he does play, low 30s, he'll probably get 40 fantasy points, pay off the price tag. On DK, it's like 8.2K. I think I probably won't play him there. Got to do a little more digging, and maybe we'll get some information. But honestly, like, we haven't got a ton of player information in this little bubble. Besides, yesterday we didn't even get the starters for the Thunder until after the slate lock. So, probably won't get any more information. More apt to play him on FanDuel opposed to DK.
Tony, same question to you. CP3, you in, you out?
No, I'm out. I can't imagine him playing. I mean, even if he does get in the low 30s, I don't know. Like, it is a good point to be made, though, and I wouldn't argue against it just because we don't really have studs that we love on the slate. So I think it's more of a floor slate as far as the upper price point guys. Like, if you guaranteed me he was going to get 30-plus minutes and 40-something fantasy points, like, sure, I'd play him because of the floor. But I don't know. I just don't see it. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if he only played the first half or something, just depending on what's going on in the game. I think he just wants to get a little run in because that's what he likes. I mean, he wants to hoop. So I can't play him. But, I mean, I do get the reasoning. I mean, there's not any studs on the slate that people feel great about. So, I mean, I just we can kind of flip it to the other side, too. And, like, I just would much rather play a guy like Booker. I know he's going to be more popular too, obviously. I mean, people like what Booker's done, but Booker and Ayton, for that matter, are just way better plays to me than CP3. So I know it's going to be more popular, but that's just I'll get different somewhere else.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think what's going to end up happening in my builds is I'm probably going to end up leaving CP3 off. I'll probably have Booker and Ayton together in a few of my lineups. And then maybe I'll separate 1 and 1 each, but I do really like them today. I like them as spend ups. I don't think that's going to be like a crazy contrarian take. I think, a lot of people are going to like them for good reason. With CP3, it's like, I think he does just kind of want to get some run in. I don't think they're going to push him though. Why would you push him? There's no reason to push his minutes. They really don't have any other point guards though, which is the other funny part. When he comes off the floor, I mean, like, Diallo, I guess, might have to handle the ball. I mean, which is kind of good for him, right? Diallo and
I think Diallo's like the best play as far as tournaments because I think he's the one off everyone's grid, and he's just a freak. And against a team like Phoenix, they're not going to be able to handle him.
Yeah,
the more I think about it with Chris Paul, it could just be like what do we call it in NASCAR? Like a pit and
start and park.
Yeah, start and park. It could be a start and park scenario for Chris Paul.
Look at Tony, our NASCAR guy, just coming out with the start and park.
Not many people know more about NASCAR than Big T.
Start and park.
No trucks.
You could get that first rotation in the second half and then park the bus. I don't know. There's some concern there.
Yeah,
I just can't. If CP3 is the reason I lose money, I'm okay with it. Like, yeah, I can't use him on this slate.
So I think we hammered out the OKC value. I think we touched on it in CP3. We already brought up Phoenix, the two guys we like. Is there anyone from Phoenix we're even considering on this slate, or are we just kind of staying away? Who?
For Phoenix, I think
besides the two top guys.
Oh yeah, as I say, those are my favorites. Maybe plays on the slate. I mean, they're highly motivated right now. They're still in contention to get that last spot. Booker's usage rate is through the roof. Ayton's been playing really well. It's probably just those two though, but I think they're really, really strong plays on the slate.
I agree with you, Tony. Is there anyone besides the two guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to include Cam Johnson. He kind of let people down last game, which is always a good bounce back spot. But, I mean, the 3 games before that, he played 40, 37, and 38 minutes, it looks like. He was really trendy play. And then today, because everyone's going to play the value and the studs, like, people are going to completely forget about him. But OKC's playing scrubs today. Cam Johnson could be the guy that wins someone the slate here in this mid-range. I think you at least have to include him in your player pool.
Yeah, and I will say with Cam Johnson, one of the reasons why he didn't see big minutes was because Javon Carter went absolutely nuts and went 7 for 10 from the field, just draining corner 3-pointers. So when you look at, he only played 27 or 28 minutes, why the fluctuation in minutes from the last 2 games where he saw big minutes? It's because they couldn't take Carter out because Carter was absolutely going nuts from the 3-point line. So that's one of the reasons. And Miami played kind of small. So that's another reason why they didn't need Cam's size in there. But yeah, I don't mind him, I guess. But let's move on because we got the next game with the other value to talk about, the Dallas Mavericks, who are resting Luka, Dorial Finney-Smith, Kristaps Porzingis, and then they're going up against Utah Jazz, who I guess Donovan Mitchell, he's going to be out. So that gives us a little more if we want to from this game. Tony, I'll start with you. With the Mitchell news out, we already know Dallas Maverick value is going to be something we're going to like for tournaments. But with the Mitchell news, does that bring any of these Jazz guys into play?
Man, it's just there's just so much value in these first two games that it's so hard to pick which ones. Which it kind of makes sense what JSU said starting the show. Like if you're used to playing one team for $100, maybe you play 20 teams for $4 or $5 or something, and just go more teams. Because honestly, like we can pretend like we know which of these value guys is going to outscore the others, but they're all such good plays that if someone gets hot and breaks the slate, like none of us are going to be surprised. And there's just so many dudes in this, like this Dallas side. Legitimately, like Hardaway could go off, Burke, Seth Curry could get hot, DeLon Wright could get an extended run, Boban, obviously, JJ Barea. I think did they say he's starting? I think I saw. Like either way, JJ Barea. This could easily be a JJ Barea game where they don't want to really run these other guys, so they just say JJ, go make some plays for us, kill this game. And I don't know. Like I have a much easier time with the OKC value because I know for a fact those guys are going to play 30 minutes. I don't know for a fact any of these guys are going to play minutes just because they could run 10 dudes with Carlisle, and then everybody in the chat will be tilting like Carlisle's not playing Hardaway in the second half, or Trey Burke got benched in the second half. Like you can't be – we keep using these excuses in the chat. If you know going in a situation like Carlisle could do anything in this game, you're not legally able to tilt anything that happens in this Dallas side. Nothing. You're not allowed to tilt it. So obviously they could all crush too. I mean, you got guys like MKG coming off the bench for some minutes, Justin Jackson some minutes. I mean, they have legitimately 11 or 12 guys that are going to get minutes. So yeah, I do think some of these guys crush. But on the flip side, Utah needs to win. Utah is still a pretty good defense. And we just have so many unknowns around this team. I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe you guys nudge me. I'd rather the OKC guys than these guys, though. Outside of maybe Boban at center, I do like him if he's going to get 18 minutes, which I think he will.
Yeah, I will say, again, it's another situation where it's just an unknown, right? I mean, I can go back. I literally went back and looked at every game where Luka or Porzingis or both were out. And it's tough because all I was seeing this past season was Willie Cauley-Stein, Jalen Brunson, guys that aren't on the team, they're out, and they were playing big minutes for this team. And there were a few other guys too. Courtney Lee got a start a few times. Like, so it's really tough to predict and say, oh, well, this is what they did last time. You really don't know. And then, like you said, I mean, Tim Hardaway Jr., he seems like a great play. But what if they just run him out for the first half and then don't play him in the second half?
And why would they let him? Why would they play him like 38 minutes and just? They're not going to. They're just not. Like I don't even care if he's on fire.
It makes more sense for someone like a JJ Barea, where you know for a fact Carlisle loves him. This is like one of those games where it's like, I'm going to give you 25 minutes today, JJ. Like go have fun. You know what I mean? Like something like that. A guy like Boban, who doesn't get to see the court very much, I'm going to give you 15 to 20 minutes, or if you're crushing, maybe 22. Go for it. Like that makes more sense to me. I do agree with you. The OKC value is more of like for sure thing in my opinion.
And they're playing Phoenix, so like we know it's a good matchup too.
Yeah. Hoop, let's bring you in here. You kind of talked about the OKC value. Let's bring it to the Dallas side, and let's talk cash games specifically. Is there anyone for cash games you're considering on the Dallas side? There's got to be some value that you're considering from this Dallas side.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to agree with the previous speaker here, Big T, but man, the Dallas side initially, like you see those names out, Luka, Porzingis, DFS, like you're like, all right, yeah, you're going to load up on Dallas, but man, like you start building these teams and you start looking at that roster, like they have some bodies and they have a lot of bodies they can throw in there. So now that, I've looked at that, I'm not as high. I agree. Like the Thunder guys are just like way more stable. I'm just playing the pricing game with these guys. Like I like Hardaway on FanDuel. He's only 4.9K. Like even if he does play 25 minutes, I think he could easily go off, upper 20s in terms of playing time. Boban, great play. I mean, he should see around 20 minutes with upside for much more. And, if they want to just let this guy loose and let him have a big game, he's a likable guy. I mean, everyone likes him. Maybe they throw him a bone and say, here you go, big boy, have fun. He can go off. And it was I think it was the last game before everything was shut down. He had that monster game. So I think he's a strong play, but they just have a lot of other guys like Trey Burke, Seth Curry. And yeah, I agree. Like they could both have big games, but I think it's more likely that one has a really good game, one has a decent game. So you're really picking and choosing, and it's a good day to build multiple teams. Like you said, get exposure to all of them because they're all, in a good spot, going to have some playing time and could go off. I'm a little higher on the Utah side, I think, than you guys with Mitchell out. Like Mike Conley is a guy that I like quite a bit now. Like price is fair, playing a ton. They kind of want to win here. Played 44 minutes last game. His price is very moderate on both FanDuel and Draftkings. So I like him quite a bit. And then Jordan Clarkson. I mean, you have to imagine with Mitchell out, Clarkson is the guy that gets the direct boost. So really like him. Better price on FanDuel than Draftkings, but I think he's definitely playing Draftkings too. I mean, the guy, he's a slate breaker type dude. Like he can go out there and break the slate. So really like those two. Give them a boost. Outside of that, it's not much else.
So JSU, so when's the last day? The last day of these games is Thursday. When's the last day of these games?
So the last day is Friday. We don't have I don't think we have times for those. Maybe we do have times now for those games, but that's the last day of the bubble.
The thing I don't get is why is Dallas not playing their guys when the team, they should want to get out of the 7 hole because they're playing against. And they're going to be against the Clippers, right? So they're in the 7.
This game is meaningful because they're two games. So Dallas is in the 7 hole. They're 2 games back of the Utah Jazz.
So once they lose this, they're locked into the 7 spot, having to play the Clippers.
Yeah,
that's so weird because if they would have won, they'd only be a game back. It's just I don't understand why they're not playing their dudes. Why do they want to play the Clippers if they have a chance? I mean, that's just weird.
Maybe they just after the last game where they ran their guys out so much because maybe they just said we don't care. They need to rest. We're giving them the day off.
It just seems stupid, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you.
Either way, it doesn't even matter. It just caught me off guard. Because Utah definitely needs to win this. We just saw it happen the other day where Portland, I mean, Hoop talked about it yesterday on the show, but Portland tried to freaking lose the game, and the Clippers tried to lose to Portland, and Portland still couldn't beat them. And then Portland came back and almost freaking lost again last night to a team that shouldn't have won. So everyone's giving Portland all this credit, and they've had 2 straight just major stinkers when they needed wins. So, yeah, I mean, Utah needs to win. I agree with Hoop, and we need to spend somewhere. I mean, even – no one's going to play Gobert. We need spin somewhere. This team needs to win. And no matter who Dallas puts on the floor, they're going to play hard under Carlisle. So I don't think it'll turn into some crazy blowout. Who could be onto something with these guys? Maybe you play 2 or 3 of these Utah guys knowing you're going to get minutes. Even like Ingles should theoretically get mid-30s minutes. No one's going to have this build. So you need something like that on a slate like this where everyone's just going to play the cheap guys and then Giannis and LeBron or whatever they do. Maybe you go to Gobert and Conley instead, and you got a very unique build there.
Yeah, I mean, so I actually agree with Hoop. I think these Utah Jazz players are good. I didn't even get to speak on this yet, but I lumped you in. I guess the opening line was not fair. I will say I didn't hear any Utah talk yet, so that's why I said. Yeah, no, I just wanted to start off with the value, but I agree with you. I think these Utah guys are in a really good spot, and we remember now Donovan Mitchell is out. I mean,
Yeah.
I think Hoop's on with Mike Conley Jr. I think it makes him much better play. He's going to have the ball in his hands way more. When Mitchell's on the floor, I mean, if you watch that Nuggets game, especially in the fourth quarter and the overtimes and stuff, Donovan Mitchell had the ball constantly. They were running pick and roll. They were trying to get Porter Jr. switched on him, and then he was just attacking. I think you're going to see more team basketball. I think Gobert's going to get more looks down low because he never gets look. Like, all of his work is like getting rebounds, putbacks. Yeah, ball movement's decent sometimes, but when Donovan Mitchell's doing like the ISO or just the one-on-one pick and rolls, getting switched on to someone, it takes away from a guy like Gobert. So I think it's a spot where Gobert could crush. I don't mind the Ingles call that Tony had. These guys are going to be much lower owned just because of where their prices are. Like, you're going to make a different lineup by having a Conley or an Ingles in your lineup just because of where they are in that mid-range, where everyone is going to go stars and scrubs. They're going to get like 2 to 3 studs easily in their lineup. And so I think having a build where
it's just a math game too, right, JSU? Like, it's a math game. Like, if we get 25 to 30 from the scrubs, everyone's going to think that's a better route. But what if we only get 45 from the stars on those builds, where you could play Conley and Gobert and get 50 from both? I mean, they both could get in the 50s. So it seems like I'm always a stars and scrubs type builder. But on this slate, like, these stars have really low floors. I mean, Giannis could play 20 minutes and I wouldn't be surprised. And I don't know. I like this build too. I think we're all kind of onto something.
Yeah, I'm good with it. I like the Utah side. I don't even mind a little Jordan Clarkson because, like I said, now with Donovan Mitchell, he's not really fighting for the ball when they're on the court together, and when they're not, it's his anyways. So I don't even mind him. But let's kind of move on. Let's talk about one of the stars. We're going to talk about Toronto Raptors versus the Milwaukee Bucks. And Tony, you brought it up. You said you wouldn't be shocked if Milwaukee just said, Giannis, you're playing 25 minutes or 20 minutes. I wouldn't be shocked either. The one thing I will say is that this is the last game where they're playing a decent team, I'm pretty sure.
What about their first round matchup where they get another little freebie?
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about the bubble schedule. I think this is their last tune-up against a real competitive team before they play. I think it's Washington and maybe Memphis are the last 2 games they have after this game in the bubble. So I could totally see them just resting their guys, or them playing all 15 to 20 minutes in those 2 games and them trying in this game. So, but that's just a guess, right? We're just playing the guessing game here. But Tony, talk about this game and if there's anything you like.
Yeah, so I just think my strategy all week is going to be to play teams that we know what's going to happen, or at least, even like the Dallas side, we know what's going to happen. We don't know the minutes and stuff, but we can project that it's going to be crazy. These 2 teams, Toronto and Milwaukee, just aren't playing for anything. I can't project anything. Like, anything could happen, and I just don't like that. I'm for sure not playing any Toronto guys. It's a tough matchup. They're priced relatively solid, and I don't need it. We could play the Utah guys over all these guys. We can play a lot of people over these guys. So Toronto's an easy fade for me, and Milwaukee's an easy fade for me outside of Giannis. I don't know what to do with Giannis, because naturally, if you play all these cheap guys, you're going to need Giannis and LeBron and these top guys, just because it just depends on what you think you can get. And this is where I think someone honestly will win a tournament today, by making the same exact team as you would with Giannis, and maybe you pivot off Giannis to somebody 2K cheaper like Gobert or something like that, and just leave the salary. Play the same exact team, and then just play a Booker or a Gobert or any of those guys in that range, and just hope Giannis plays 20 minutes and doesn't go off and break the charts, and maybe your mid-range guy outscores him. Because honestly, you have to include Giannis in your player pool. What I might do, I'm playing 20 teams, I think, today. I might just under-project them, just to where, project him at 48 fantasy points, which would be a low floor, and just get what I get. So if he fits on my teams, he fits on some of them, but to where I don't get too much of him. He's going to be projected 57, 58, wherever you look, pretty much. I'll under project him because I don't really want him, but you might need some just because of the way the cheap guys fit in there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. What about you? What are you thinking? I mean, for cash, probably you're definitely going to spend up for one or two studs. So I would assume Giannis has to be in the conversation, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely in the conversation, but there's risk. But I mean, the thing is, there's risk with almost all these guys today, and that's why I'm going to try to focus. I agree with Tony. I'm going to try to focus on the spots where I don't think there's risk. The Phoenix Suns situation, I don't think there's risk there. So Booker, Ayton, Utah Jazz situation, I don't think there's risk there. So Conley, Gobert, I like the Gobert call. I mean, he's not going to be really that owned. They have motivation. They're going to play. I mean, Mike Conley is a guy who the minutes are typically closely monitored. He played 44 of them things last game. Was it overtime, though? I think that was an overtime game.
Even if it was, that's still a chunk of minutes.
Yeah, for Mike Conley, you give me 30 minutes, you're usually happy, but, they're willing to push him into the 40s. So I'm focused on those situations. That being said, I mean, you can't cross off these stars with all the scrubs we're going to be playing today. So like him a little better on DK. Like the price is somewhat adjusted for the situation. He's only 10.6. Like 10.6 is a nice value price tag on him. And I kind of agree with what you said, JSU. Like this could be the last hurrah for him before the playoffs. I cannot imagine them, pushing him in those next two spots. So this could be it. And by being it could just mean 30 minutes of playing time, which I think is enough on this slate. So I'll be on him. He's definitely in my player pool. Definitely got to consider for cash. I mean, I haven't finalized any lineups yet, but he's definitely in the conversation for all those reasons.
Yeah, I just
and no one else. And I agree with Tony. No Toronto guys, and probably no one else on Portland. Just Giannis.
Just Giannis. Okay, so I do agree. I think it could be the last hurrah for both these teams. Honestly, imagine maybe
first JSU. Imagine Titletown liking Giannis. No way, Titletown likes him. The only person I've ever met in my lifetime more chalkier than Hoop and Mangone is friggin' Titletown. Like, oh, I can't wait to play Coors tonight in baseball. Oh, I can't wait to play Giannis. Come on, Titletown.
I can't wait for Giannis to play. If Giannis does play 20 minutes, we're all just gonna hammer Title in the Discord. That's just
breaks
gonna
the
be what
slate.
happens.
Giannis breaks the slate on a freaking slate with all value dudes. Title.
Oh boy, yeah. So I will agree that the Toronto side is pretty much a fade. There's definitely. It's just a tough matchup. I do think, though, that if they do play, it's going to be a competitive game if they all do decide to play their players, solid minutes. But that doesn't always, these are two real tough defensive teams. So I think it's Giannis, really not much else.
And the thing we haven't talked about, too, is that these two think they're going to play for the Eastern Conference Finals. They're not going to want to show any of the little stuff, any of the little integrations that they might use in the playoffs. So I don't know.
See,
that's the flip side to your guys' argument.
Interesting. I think it's more of a tune-up game, right? Like it's perfect because that's a competitive team. Toronto's running their guys out big minutes, so it's like a perfect thing to match up with, as opposed to like a Washington. Like, why would you run Giannis for 30 minutes?
Well, they're not going to run him any of them. I don't.
But think. I'm just saying though, against Memphis or Washington, why would you even do it? Those are the last two games. Why?
But they're playing. Why are they? Why does he not get a tune-up versus the Orlando Magic in the first round? Like, I mean,
that's
tune
gonna
up
be
during that series.
That's gonna be and
then we get to hear everyone like
Titletown.
Oh, Giannis looks so good versus the Magic. Oh, he's unstoppable.
Versus the Magic without Aaron Gordon, Jonathan Isaac, God. All right, let's move on. We spent plenty of time.
How come you call him Giannis now, by the way? Did you stop saying Giannis?
Because you guys hammer me about it when I'm on the show. So it's gotten in my head now. I'll revert back. Don't worry. I'll revert back. So next game, we got the Indiana Pacers versus the Miami Heat. Looking like Jimmy Butler is going to come back. He's on track to play. TJ Warren is still questionable, so make sure to stay tuned for that news. And also, there's a nice little Jimmy Butler, TJ Warren competitiveness there. I will say Jimmy called him out saying he was soft after one of the games. I always love Jimmy Butler for those type of reasons. The guy's just tough, and the guy doesn't take any crap. And he'll just tell you how it is. That's a real person right there. He just tells it how it is. So I respect that. But Hoop, start from a cash side. What are you thinking with this Indiana versus Miami?
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly not a bad game. I mean, there's motivation here. Like both these teams most likely want to stay in the 4 seed. They're in the 4-5 right now, and 76ers are kind of lingering. So I think there's motivation here. The teams they're both going to want to win, and their starters, well, especially on the Indiana side, they've been playing quite a few minutes. So I don't hate these guys as lineup fillers. Like Brogdon played up 39 minutes last game. Like I don't mind him. The problem with a guy like Turner is there's so many centers we like, so probably won't be on him. Warren price tag's way up there. So honestly, on the Indiana side, it's Brogdon. On the Heat side, I think on DK, Jimmy Butler's interesting. I'd like if we have more news on it, but he's only 7.2K. He's got the motivation here with the trash talk with TJ Warren. So I think he's in play at 7.2. Nunn is still going to be out, so Hero I think is a guy to consider. I mean, obviously don't expect same results as last game. Butler was out, now Butler's going to be in, but I think you can still consider him. He has a fair price tag, so it's kind of an underrated game where both these teams have motivation to win.
Yeah, and I will say I'm pretty sure Goran Dragic is also, like Jimmy Butler, I think they said on track to play.
Yeah.
So I would assume that both those guys play. So I don't mind the hero call, but I just want to say, like, Dragic didn't play last game, obviously. Yeah. Nunn's still out, but Dragic is going to come in and probably play like 25 minutes, somewhere maybe 28. So it'll hurt Hero a little, but not enough. I still think, like you, he's going to see some pretty good minutes. So I don't mind that. But Tony, let's bring this to tournaments. So Hoop like Jimmy Butler's price tag on DK. I mean, I think it's a very fair price tag. He's seen like 30, 33 minutes in the bubble, really. So they're not pushing him crazy. But do you like anyone from this game?
Yeah, so this is definitely the most interesting game of the day as far as just basketball because, like Hoop said, I think they're in the 4-5. There's a lot of dynamics to it, though, because obviously in the 4-5, you avoid the Raptors and Celtics, but you're going to play the Bucks in the second round. I don't really know what the advantage would be. But either way, there's something to play for. I think Miami, you can cross everyone off except for Jimmy Butler and Bam. And it's more of a floor slate, almost like the Utah guys where we said they should theoretically play minutes for sure, which should theoretically give us a floor of mid to high 30s, low 40s of fantasy points, which could be huge on this slate. Honestly, when we don't know what's going to happen in all the spots, floors become very important in this mid to high range players. And these are two guys that I think you have to include in your player pool just because as long as they play minutes, even if they play low 30s minutes, they're going to be scoring decent fantasy wise. And Indiana's been a disaster against athletic bigs, which is Bam. No one's going to play Bam. At least I don't think no one's going to play Bam, especially because he's a center too. So on DK. Is he a center on FanDuel too?
On FanDuel, he's power forward. He's going to be very popular, I think, over there.
Yeah, so definitely more so on DraftKings at the center. But either way, I think these guys are really good plays. And I can't wait to watch. TJ Warren's been incredible in the bubble. You guys talked about it with the whole trash talk. You guys know how much I like the trash talk. And these guys, maybe the best rivalry as far as trash talk in the NBA right now. These two are going back and forth. And TJ Warren's been incredible. I wish I could play TJ Warren. He's been really good. And he still hasn't, 49, 36, 47 isn't that great for his new price point. And he's been really good. And now with Jimmy Butler guarding him and wanting to stop him, I can't imagine playing TJ Warren as much as I want to. Like, I do really want to play him. I just can't imagine him breaking the slate with Jimmy Butler guarding him and the trash talk. Jimmy Butler's a dog. He's not going to get embarrassed by TJ Warren. I don't care. He'll fight him before he gets embarrassed.
I was going to say, he'll fight him for sure. TJ Warren's price on FanDuel is $7,500. Does that make it more intriguing if he plays?
I just don't think I like TJ Warren. I think Jimmy Butler, he's just a dog. Like I said, he's not going to get embarrassed by this dude.
Another reason I like some of these other, specifically Brogdon, is, the best defender for the Heat is going to be tied up on TJ Warren all game. You know that. Like Butler's going to be on Warren. So that makes the path a little bit easier for some of those other players on the Pacers.
How much is Brogdon on FanDuel?
He's cheap. He's 6,500, I think, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
I like him way better on FanDuel too. Like 7K's kind of tight on.
Is Oladipo in play for any of you? Because that makes sense. Like Jimmy Butler's going to be tied up on TJ Warren 100%. Does that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can consider him for sure. Like I think how many minutes did he play last game?
He was in that 34, 35 range.
Oh, he got up that high then. Yeah, I definitely like him. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, and he got up that high, and so did Aaron Holiday. They were playing these guys a lot together. Aaron Holiday saw like 33 minutes too. Yeah. Brogdon, like you said, saw like, 39? I mean, they're playing these guys a lot, those three guys. And that was with TJ, right? Like TJ played that game too. Yeah. So, I mean, that's their team right there, and they're running these guys out pretty big minutes. So at least from a minute standpoint, I guess you really don't have to worry about any of these guys. The only guy I'm with Tony, I'm probably not going to play TJ Warren. The only other guy I probably won't play is Miles Turner. He just hasn't looked good, and I don't really like him in this matchup either.
And center's the one spot
enough to be out.
And center's pretty loaded.
Yeah,
and center's a pretty loaded spot today. So you don't want to lock yourself into a guy like TJ Warren when we got Boban, Ayton, Jokic, Muscala, like all center eligible. Definitely wouldn't want to go Turner.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, now before we get to this last game here, Tony, it's my daily show reminder to the people to please hit that thumbs up button. We want to give out some free swag, but we need to get to 150. We're at like 109 right now. We got 336 people watching. Obviously, see that thumbs up button, hit that thumbs up. It helps us keep giving you guys this free content. If you like this show, hit that thumbs up. Tony,
I'll tell you one guy that's not getting the thing, even if we draw his name, Marcus King. He said Jokic is garbage. You're not getting no gear saying Jokic is garbage, Marcus King.
No. I'm picking today. Don't worry,
how's it going to get to FedEx, JSU? You aren't bringing it unless it's your game.
When I say go, Tony, all right? This is my show. When I say go, get out of here, FedEx.
The host gets to choose.
He's going to have a long drive to Kentucky to get that gear to go to FedEx to give to him.
I'll fly to Kentucky myself.
He's going to take that shirt right off his back and send it out for the people.
Are you a
It better be for Marcus King's kid if it's going to fit.
All right. Was that good, Tony? Was that a good jab? Are you satisfied with yourself?
I felt pretty good about it. Yeah, we can move on.
All right, that's fair. All right, let's move on, guys. Let's talk about the Denver Nuggets versus the LA Lakers. A game where we've got three of the we'll call them the three of the studs on the slate because Jokic is 9,100 on Draftkings, AD's 99, LeBron is like 10-2, and then Giannis is the only other one really in this range, this 9K and up range that we're looking at. All these guys are going to have inflated ownerships, right? Just because. Not even because maybe you like the spot, just because we're going to have so much money to spend up. You're going to see 2 to 3 of these guys of the 4 in a lot of people's lineups. But do we like these guys? And Hoop, I'll bring it to you first. Do you like anyone from this game?
Actually, man, I don't know how owned they'll be. I mean, they're going to be inflated, like you said, because of the cheap price tags on the some of these value guys. But I actually like this game. Lakers have looked awful, and they even have their favorite supporter doubting them, Mr. Big T, and that's a reason for concern when Big T starts doubting the king. Like they throw in the top.
We got to clarify first. I'm not doubting him.
Doubting the team.
I'm doubting Alex Caruso as your starting guard is what I'm doubting.
I think the Lakers are going to want to look good at some point and win a game. I mean, they're playing the minutes. Like LeBron's been playing minutes. The results for the team just haven't been there. I think this is a spot where him and AD kind of use it as a get-right spot against another playoff team, and try to save the direction the team's heading in. So I kind of like this game as a sneaky play-to-win type spot. I like Jokic on the other side too. Like I think he's in this to win too. So I like the stars here, and definitely none of the other pieces. But it's like LeBron, AD, Jokic, I think, are all strong plays today. I think this is a game that both sides try to win.
Yeah, so I don't mind that. I just think that you know that these guys are going to be very popular today. Like, this isn't going to be sneaky. It's not that people are going to spend up. They have the money. They see LeBron, AD, Jokic. They're like, oh, perfect, game stack right there. 3 guys. I just game stack this game. Because really, from the Lakers, the only 2 you want is LeBron and AD, right? You don't want any of this other garbage. Like, you don't want, Caruso or anyone else from that team. And then from the Nuggets, we all know me and Tony love our boy MPJ, but I can't spend that money on MPJ now that Jamal Murray is out there hogging the ball for 35 to 38 minutes a game. And Jokic, they're just playing the 2-man game, and MPJ, with all the talent in the world, sitting on the wing. It just drives me nuts watching it. And then obviously the Lakers are just going to, LeBron, they're just going to get him switched on LeBron or AD and then just bully him. And he's going to get in foul trouble anyway. So, which is what the Utah Jazz were actually doing, a very similar thing. They were running pick and roll at the top with Donovan Mitchell every single time in the fourth quarter to get MPJ switched onto Donovan Mitchell so Donovan Mitchell could take him to the rim, because he's just not a good defender. And I think the Lakers are going to do something similar to get him on one of those 2 guys. But Tony, talk about this game, and if you like it as much as Hoop, let's hear it.
I mean, this chat does have me tilted. Like, it's calling out all my boys, MPJ. Like, oh man. So Jamal Murray doesn't play, and then he comes and play. I know it went overtime and stuff. I'm not saying that, but he doesn't play the whole bubble, and then he plays 40 minutes. That's the kind of crap Malone does.
It did go to double overtime.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It went overtime, but it's still minutes. Like, he's still in there playing for nothing. He plays that many minutes. I just don't understand what Malone's doing. But, man, I don't know what to think about this game. I've basically said on the bet side that I'm going to fade the Lakers every single game. They're just not any good, and it's worked. Like, I've had the money line every time. They're probably honestly the reason I'm up a decent chunk on the bet side is because I bet against the Lakers every game. But tonight is a weird spot where I don't love Denver tonight against the Lakers, because Denver's not really playing for anything either. And Denver should, let me see, like, they should want to lose. I mean, they're better off being in the 3 than the 2, just because they don't want to play the Mavericks. They could play either the Jazz or Thunder by losing. Yeah, the Nuggets should want to lose this game tonight, which should theoretically be good for LeBron, just to have – I think I like LeBron more than Giannis just because they need a good game. Like, they have been terrible. I'm as big a LeBron guy as there is, like Hoop said. They've looked awful. This is the tune-up that you guys were talking about with Milwaukee. I think this is the game for the Lakers where they need a good showing. I think we might see it from LeBron and AD tonight. And I think they put on a little show, late night hammer with all the value. No one's going to play them together. And I kind of like that. I like it more than Giannis for sure. They have to play good. They can't keep laying these stinkers in there before the playoffs. And I think Denver honestly wants to they're not going to come out and deliberately throw it, but I think they're better off losing this game and staying in the 3 hole. So, and the Denver side, I mean, it's a lot tougher with Murray back. I mean, you got Porter priced way up, Jamal priced up. Jokic, I guess you could play just because it's a floor slate. But, again, I don't like him that much against – I don't like the matchup Denver against the Lakers because Jokic has to get guarded by 2 guys that are pretty stinking athletic, and Dwight and JaVale. And his advantage is kind of being able to maneuver around them. But I don't love this spot. So – I think I'm fading the Denver side, although I would say, I mean, no one's going to play our boy MPJ, and he's been pretty good in this bubble, and it wouldn't shock me if he had another game in the 50s. So MPJ maybe be my only Nugget guy.
Yeah, I can't see MPJ. I want to play him so bad. This will be the first time I don't play him in this entire bubble.
I mean, the price is pretty bad, so. Yeah,
I think on FanDuel he's going to get played just because there's not that many good power forward plays on FanDuel, so I do think he's going to get played. But on DK, nobody is going to play him. You're going to get him at like 1% owned, I think, on DK. So if you want to play him, that's fine. Honestly, I watched that entire double overtime game, And literally when Murray's on the floor, he just sits in the corner. He just sits. It drives me nuts, especially when the game's on the line. So, yeah, I'm probably going to stay away from Murray. I don't mind playing LeBron and AD together because I think, honestly, they're the only two good plays on this team. I think they could both smash in this matchup. If the game stays close and they're running them out for 32 minutes, I like them both. I agree with you too. I think I will have more of them than I will Giannis. So maybe that's a little
you just clearly like Giannis more than these two?
No, not necessarily. I mean, honestly, like on FanDuel, like LeBron is 9.6K and Giannis is like 11K. Like I definitely prefer LeBron there. And then Anthony Davis is like 9.2K. I think they're both phenomenal FanDuel plays. Like I like them both a lot. Like I think they show out here. I really do.
Yeah, and I think, Tony, you're right on the head where you said both of them together in a lineup may be a little different. And
especially on DraftKings.
Right.
Like I don't think anyone's doing that on DraftKings, and it just fits with the build. Like,
but you can though easily.
Yeah,
like
easily.
That's the funny part. Like you can easily. So that is the funny question. Like the actual question is, I think honestly, you're going to be surprised when you see more 2 to 3 star builds than you guys think. I think it's going to be.
We both think. I think we both think there is going to be 2 to 3 star builds.
There's only 4 studs on the slate. If you say 9K and above, there's only 4 people.
It all comes down to what people do with Booker and Ayton. Like if they value the security there, if they value the security of Booker and Ayton, then those other guys aren't going to be as highly owned. Especially on DraftKings, because if you play those two, it's hard to get 2 of those big studs in there with them. Because I mean, Booker's 8.7 there, and Ayton's 8K. So it's I think it all comes down to what people do with those guys.
Yeah, no doubt. It depends where people go to start the line. Are they going to plug in Booker and Ayton? Or are they going to start with like the Giannis or the LeBron and see where they get to? That is the question. Anything else from this game, guys? I think we touched on everything.
I think that's it.
Yeah. All right. And as I turn, we hit the 150 mark. So we can give out some swag. Tony, I would say you pick, but you have a bias going right now, so I can't let you pick. Who I think you're the guy to pick because you're not biased. I mean, I want to give my guy Marcus King some swag real bad, so I don't want to cheat the people. So you're gonna pick for us. So give it the scroll and see who it lands on.
I landed on Title Town. I have to start over.
Oh, you definitely got to start over if you landed.
Yeah,
on
no title.
I got Andy Hoyman, 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 Andy Hoyman. He said the comment was Andy 8 more. Yeah, the comment was 8 more likes. So he was on the chat. So he's worthy. He's definitely worthy of some apparel.
My man, we appreciate you. So Andy Hoyman, hit up Big T in the Discord or on Twitter at BigT44, and he'll get you your stuff sent out. Yeah. All right, guys. Let's finish it out with someone who's going to break the slate, and we'll get out of here. Hoop, let's start with you.
Just to circle back 1 second, real quick.
Yeah.
So we were just talking. I think just because I think it's important. We were talking about if you start your teams with Ayton and Booker, I can still play LeBron and AD with those guys, and it fits.
Yeah.
So I can play all 4 of those dudes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, the ownership is probably going to be much higher. Yeah, JSU.
I didn't think you could fit all of it because I haven't put it in there. Like you still have a
honestly,
decent chunk,
I still have money left on the table in those builds.
Just because there's so many dudes that are min price, like it's I mean, I don't really see a way not to do that. Then if you can fit 3 or 4 of those guys, like we like the mid tier, but man, it's tough not to. Like you can play Gobert or Ayton in that spot, and then I mean it feels like we're gonna make a lot of cheese today. I think.
I'll tell you right now, having 4 to 5, like having 4 to 5 guys in that 7K to 8K range too. If you built that way, you're gonna be a lot different from the field as well. Because like Tony said, you can fit 2 8K guys and still get 2 studs at the top, but having like 5 guys in the 8K range, I think will make your lineups, or 7K and 8K range will make your lineups different as well. So I don't hate that as a route if you want to be a little different in tournaments.
It's such a good tournament day because you can go a lot of directions.
No doubt. So who? Let's start it with you. Give me the guy you like to break the slate. Don't give me like the top guys. We know those guys. Give me someone under the radar.
Mike Conley with Donovan Mitchell out, playing a ton of minutes. Should be a lot of ball handling for him. So he's probably one of my favorite plays on the slate. Nice price tag too on both sites. So I like Conley a lot.
All right, Tony, let's hear it. Who you got?
I like Hoop's call about the Utah. I think that, especially if you wanted to play Utah over the Phoenix guys, which probably isn't optimal, but I think in tournaments, I like that a lot, what he came up with. So I might go with that. But honestly, my slate breakers, these three OKC guys, I know I shouldn't put them together, but I think, honestly, I like playing them together because if they go off, they'll probably go off together almost. Diallo, Baisley, and who's the third one? Oh, Dort, because I don't think anyone's going to play Dort. I'm going to do it as a trio. I like those three, especially like if you start your team. If you play Booker or Ayton with those three, it's the first game of the day. I know that we've had some unlucky times actually in the first game, the last week or so, but I don't see how this doesn't work out for us in this first game today. And people will be chasing the value later in the day, which I get. But, man, the OKC value just feels like the best value to me. And then you pair it with either the Phoenix guys or the Utah guys, like Hoop said, and then you work off of that. And that's my plan for the day. But my slate breakers will be these three OKC value guys.
So one thing, too, just to piggyback off what you said. Now, if you play those three cheap guys, like Tony said, and you're let's say you're someone who's maybe worried about a blowout, maybe you play those three cheap guys and play only one of Booker or Ayton. Or maybe you have a couple lineups or neither. Or maybe you have, like I said, a few lineups where you play the three guys, Booker, three guys, Ayton, three guys, nobody. And if you have a fourth lineup, maybe the three guys in both. See, this is what I do. When I say, like, I'm a 3 to 4 lineup guy, this is exactly the type of strategy that I employ when I see this type of value, whether it's the Mavericks value or the OKC value. That is how I think. That's why I don't like just building one lineup. I'm not saying those guys who build one lineup and they smash and that's fine. They put in everything. I'm not saying it's a bad way to go. I'm just saying for me, I like this 3 to 4 lineup strategy because then I have multiple routes. I can play with my lineups that way. So if Ayton doesn't go off, but Booker does, and my 3 value guys go off, I'll still be fine. Like, I'm still going to have a lineup that's going to be sitting pretty after this first game. And that's where I think, I get an edge over the field is people just don't want to, for whatever reason, they don't want to, have a core and then get a little different, but not too much different in all of their lineups. If the core smashes and you have that little change in each lineup, one of those lineups is probably going to do well. So, I mean, that's just the way I like to do it. My slate breaker, I think Rudy Gobert, he's going to be unowned, and I think he goes nuts. I think it helps that Donovan Mitchell isn't on the floor. I think he gets more looks, and I like him a lot today. I think he goes off. He's been playing really well in the bubble. I have to say, me and Tony, one of the first couple of shows, we were getting on this guy. We both said he sucks. I will say he's impressed me in the bubble. I still don't think he's amazing by any means, but he's played a lot better than what I saw before. I mean, Tony, do you agree with that?
No.
No? Okay.
I still think he sucks.
Tony still thinks he sucks. All right. Whatever. All right.
I mean, he's had what I would consider good matchups for him. Denver against Jokic, Memphis against Joval, Lakers against their bigs, OKC against Adams.
Matchup. Huh? That is not a good match. That's Lakers against their bigs is not a good matchup.
How is that not? Against Dwight and JaVale? That's a perfect matchup for him.
The Lakers as a matchup isn't that tough. I mean, the fact that their defense isn't as good as
that's a good matchup for a big, though. Like I think that's a good matchup for Gobert.
All right.
Either way, he's looked good in the bubble. I agree with that. I don't think he's a good player. He's looked good in the bubble. And I hope he looks good today because I'm getting on this Utah team with Hoop.
Let's go, boys.
All right. We're on it. We're on the train. Everyone's
playing
on
some
it
jazz
together.
music later tonight. We'll get on the Zoom and do a little threesome dance going.
With or without
jazz
clothes?
music. No clothes. Well, it depends. It depends
just
on
our RPS polos. Nothing.
It'll depend on how many bottles deep Tony is by the time we get on the call.
Hopefully, a lot.
All right. So with that, guys, we're gonna get out of here. We got to make some lineups. So again, for me, JSU, Hoop, Big T. We'll see you tomorrow.